Oh, hello there. Do you guys like KABLOOMIES and everything blowing up? Well, I'm pretty sure you're gonna love this setup. What's good, folks? It's KnightmareFrame here with a new WARFRAME video coming at you with an explosive Sevagoth setup. Yeah, it's an ability nuke build. Like, I just released one with GOTH. If you've not seen that, do go check that out. So this is a bit different. That's still hot. Still hot. This Sevagoth nuke build does not use his fourth ability, does not use gloom. I mean, that's all he's known for, right? Gloom? Yeah, because that will be anti-synergistic for this build. It's only to do with his first and second ability. The only thing about this setup is that you have to do it in a specific order. Otherwise, no KABLOOMIES. But before you actually understand how the KABLOOMIES work, you have to understand what the two abilities do. So let's quickly go over to the simulacrum and demonstrate this. Starting off with the second ability, called Sow. Casting this ability will do an AoE darkness effect, mark targets, and deal damage over time. This damage over time is true damage over time, and that scales with strength. Notice how it was a brief damage over time because I'm running negative duration on this setup. If you take a look on the bottom right corner, you see it only lasts for a second. And that's what we want for this build. And now looking at the first ability, called Reap, you send out a ghost, and this ghost will target enemies, debuff them. You saw that weird tendril effect, that's the debuff there, and it deals radiation damage. Now, that debuff is damage vulnerability, meaning they'll take more damage from all sources. Now for the synergy. When you apply Sow onto enemies for that 1 second, and then you cast your first ability, you will cause a chain reaction explosion, as you saw right there. But that didn't do that much damage. And that chain reaction explosion deals 25% blast damage to the enemy's health. As you can see, that's exactly 25% on the enemy's health right there. However, the explosion is capped to 4 meters, but has no damage fall off. Now, the other thing with this synergy is that when you apply Sow and then Reap, it causes a second instance of that radiation damage. So you're getting 2 types of damage on top of that combination. And now we dealt additional 25%. Now it's half of the enemy's health. So you'd have to cast this combo 4 times to guarantee a kill. However, what if we want to guarantee that kill in one single rotation? Because there are a few downsides. The 25% damage done to health does not scale with strength, so that's a big oof. Armor, of course, is another factor. Reap and Sow combo is locked to that 25% damage, and let's be honest, blast and radiation isn't the best damage type against everything, and that 4 meters of explosion doesn't scale with range. So those are the few downsides of this combo. Yet when you saw the background footage, I was destroying everything with a single cast, because there are a few ways to get rid of these issues. First way to deal with one of the issues is adding on to the explosion. Sevagoth's first ability, Augment, Shadow Haze. Reading this Augment, increase critical chance by 50% on enemies inflicted with the Death Harvest. So that's the debuff of the first ability. This gives you that crit chance on all your weapons. However, we're not worrying about our weapons, and we're not dealing damage with our weapons. And plus, it's a negative duration build, so you're not going to have that debuff on them lasting that long. But take a look at the second part. A new shadow emerges from these enemies when they perish. Limit of 3 shadows. So when you do your combo, you're summoning that shadow, and when it explodes and kills a fodder enemy unit, it spawns another shadow that causes another chain reaction explosion. So that's where you get the KABLOOMIES. Now, we're locked to that 4 meter explosion. We want to increase that range. So grouping is going to be another way to fix this. Usually people would think of slotting in the Nautilus, but we want consistency, because we want to group them up and kill them immediately without wasting any time. And I'm not worried about armor stripping them because we're dealing all of that damage directly to their health and guaranteeing a one-shot. So we don't need an armor strip Helminth, and we don't need a Nautilus. Grouping was the next best thing. Now there's several types of grouping abilities. We have Zephyr's second ability, we have Larva, we have Ensnare, and then we have Pull. Now, 2 of these Helminth abilities don't care about duration. However, one of them has really good range, and that's why I went with Pull from Mag. This yoinks enemies within a conal shape and clumps everything up into one juicy pile. And the best thing is that it has the better range out of Zephyr's second ability and Larva. And Larva does have issues with, terrain. Enemies can get stuck and it warps them. We don't need that. We want consistency. So that's why I decided to go with Pull. And plus Pull has an augment called Greedy Pull. So not only are we grouping enemies up, but we're also pulling in energy, health orbs, everything that we need, especially life support. So that's another good thing. And since the explosion damage deals damage directly to the health, well, you just simply need to multiply the damage that you deal to the health. And what better way to do that with viral priming? So that 25% damage gets a 4.2 times damage multiplier at 10 stacks of viral. That means armor isn't an issue. But how do we guarantee that we're going to kill them, even if we don't manage to get the full 10 stacks of viral? I mean, it's still a 50% damage multiplier to the health with 1 stack of viral. So to guarantee that kill, I'll be using Archon Shards. And the best part is, these Archon Shards can be green, purple, or orange, but they need to have that specific buff. Gain ability damage on enemies affected by a status effect. With the green shards, it's the corrosive status effect. With the purple shards, it's the electric status effect. And with the orange, it's with the radiation status effect. So it's up to you which one you want to use. But I'll highly recommend either radiation or corrosive. Now, for those who know this combo, this is the same thing I used on my recent Trinity Nuke build, using her Energy Vampire to deal damage to the health and multiply that damage even further thanks to these green shards. Now, if you remember with the earlier showcase, I did do the combo of Reap and Sow, and they didn't even die. What happens if I group them up, prime them, Reap Sow, or Sow Reap in this case? Those were level 225 Steel Path enemies. Heavy gunners, the tough guys, right there. And for those wondering, you can even do this with the Exo GOTH stat. 1 tap, because we're ignoring all of their armor and we're dealing damage directly to their health. You don't see these enemies in Steel Path or in doing Railjack. These are like the toughest, tankiest enemies. And let's even do Eximus units. Unfortunately, you cannot group up Eximus units, so you're not going to have that chain reaction explosion, but it will probably take about 2 hits without the grouping. Some survived because there was no grouping, but you could see I was saying 2 hits, but now we one tap these guys. Showcasing this build, we are in Mod Survival in Steel Path. Surprisingly enough, I won't be using Madurai, but Zeneric. Zeneric has a few benefits. Its Wellspring gives you the energy regeneration, which will be a very nice thing, and it increases the amount of energy you get when you pick up energy orbs. Not to mention, every 60 seconds you get a free cast, meaning it doesn't consume energy. So it's like Arcane Steadfast or Mystic Bond. However, I'm not using Steadfast on this loadout. And when you reactivate Wellspring, it gives you that additional 20 strength right there. 20% strength. Another thing is that this build is for base Steel Path. Anything to your Steel Path Daily, Steel Path Circuit, whatever. It's not meant to go that high, but it can go that high, but you would have to do other means of survival. The build will scale fairly well because we don't care about armor. We're dealing damage directly to the health. All right, let's start off by grouping up enemies using our Sow and then Reap. See how we're easily killing these enemies. Oof. Ooh. Look at all these enemies just grouped up. There you go. Very simple combo. We even have Cephalon Suda coming in here. Where's she at? Easy. Get out of here. Who do you think you are? Seriously. Oh, beautiful. Look at all that energy on the floor. Group it all up. And we have energy, we have health, all of the things we need. Massive, massive enemy radar. And you may have noticed we're quite liberal, again, with our ability casting because we have all the energy we need and we're not using Arcane Steadfast or Arcane Energize. We definitely need the enemy radar here just to see where everything is. Because, good God, we're going to kill really fast and move on to the next objective. KABLOOMIES are so nice, man. And also, there's so much effects. I can't even see sometimes. I'll have to do this. There we go. That's a bit better. Oh, see, the door messed up our damage. All right, here we go. This should be a nice open tile set, right? Let's stand right here. Pull enemies towards us. Oh, yeah, I like that. I like that. Come up here, boys. Also, we're in mod survival, right? So we're going to be dealing with, what do you call it? Ancient healers and even the nullifiers. But for those who didn't know, ancient healers give their allies overguard. And that overguard is damage reduction and status immunity. So that protects them from crowd control. And to counteract that, just use radiation on your weapons. So my primer right here, the Booba Nico, aka the Grand Overture, it has viral, corrosive, cold, and radiation. So we're easily priming the enemies, debuffing them with our viral, debuffing them with corrosive so they take more damage thanks to the Archon shards. And the cold procs is just another layer of crowd control. Those cold procs trigger primary frostbite, if I can find it right there. That gives me some more multi-shot. Very useful. And we also have radiation. You saw how that guy had overguard and immediately got rid of it because there was an ancient healer right there giving him overguard. Same thing with their little sentinels, giving them healing and shield regen. That also nullifies that effect. It's been 5 minutes. Where's the Acolyte? Hello? Hello, Acolyte? You're late, by the way. There we go. Again, this build cannot kill the Acolyte. You would just have to use a weapon. However, you can actually completely ignore the Acolyte, and if the Acolyte is within your damage vicinity, all right, he will take some damage. As you can see right there, his shields and his health took some damage because he's around the area. So you don't necessarily have to focus the Acolyte. You can just kill them via killing other things. Or you can directly target the Acolyte. All right, now that we're back, same routine. Let's have a look at those Archon shards. 2 casting speed shards. Must. Absolutely. Imagine not using casting speed. Not letting your animations shine will help you kill faster and survive more. And 1 Tau Forge energy. That's pretty much it, just to balance out our maximum energy because we're not using prime flow. This gives us 265, and we're going to be running quite high efficiency as well, so we don't have to worry about losing that much. The 2 green shards here to give us that bonus ability damage on enemies affected by the corrosion status effect. Now, for our primer of choice, I'm using the Booba Nico, aka the Grand Overture. The cool thing about the Booba Nico is that it has an alternate fire. The alternate fire deals viral and can prime viral for you. So all you have to do is mod for corrosive. There's a combined elemental mod that gives you radiation and just cold. Pretty simple, right? Taking a look at that build, you can see we have primary frostbite right here on cold status effect from the weapon. It gives you critical damage and multi-shot. We're not worried about the critical damage here. We just want that juicy multi-shot. Otherwise, there's nothing else. If you're going for a melee build, you know what to do. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. And we're not killing with this weapon, so shotgun vendetta, not that great, and plus, it's not really good with battery weapons. And yes, this is a battery weapon, so you don't have to worry about ammo. And now that we've shifted to this side, it's time we take a look at that Sevagoth build. Reminder, we're not using Gloom. We're not using the Shadow. If you want to use the Shadow, you can. It doesn't matter. But these 2 abilities are friggin' useless. So replace either one. It doesn't really matter. We just want Sow and Reap. These are our main things that we want. You cast 2 and then 1. But make sure you do the priming and stuff. Now, for the Arcanes, very simple. We're going to put some armor with Arcane Guardian. And we're going to put Blessing for some health. This gives us some decent amount of EHP. All right, in the aura, I'm going to be running Growing Power. I can't spell, don't mind me. Growing Power, 25%, because when we put another mod, we're going to drop down to 95%. This is just to even out the strength loss, because 100% strength is the sweet spot, to be honest. Even though the Reap and Sow combo doesn't scale with strength, we get other benefits with the strength. And that's to do with the damage vulnerability. This gives us a little bit of extra damage when a straggler is around, even though it doesn't last that long. So to increase our range and showcase our strength loss, we have overextended, wham, right there, and we're going to be running Archon stretch. Pay attention. I will explain this. Now we have a 235% range. All of this is pretty much to give us the extra pull suck. So it goes from 12.5 to 29.37. Very nice. You can just look around, yoink, 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 and whabam. This increases our pull reach. We're going to put in the Augment. Greedy Pull. Pull Augment adds 100% chance to pick up loot. Very nice. This is including your health, your energy, life support, ammo, everything. Very nice to have. And let's not forget Shadow Haze. This is, of course, the Augment right here. Gives us 3 shadows. And that means more KABLOOMIES. We don't care about the crit chance. At base, it has 10 seconds. We don't want that 10 seconds because we want this to go off fairly quickly so we can recast as much as we want. So I'm going to slap on Transient Fortitude. This reduces that duration, right? And gives us some strength. But we want that duration even lower. And we're going to slap on Fleeting Expertise. Right, Fleeting Expertise will reduce our duration, but give us ability efficiency. Very nice. And then slap on Equilibrium. This gives us health and energy, depending on which orb you pick up. Very useful. And it's going to aid our Arcane Blessing, and also help us maintain our energy management, because we're going to be expending quite a lot of energy. Even though it's 160% efficiency, you're going to be losing a lot of energy. So this Equilibrium and Archon Stretch are going to help us out. And of course, to give us a bit more survivability, slap on Adaptation. Then finally, Primed Surefooted, the best mod in the game, because spending less time in your butt is a huge DPS increase. And this is the loadout. Now, for those who are paying attention and wondering, hey, why are we using Archon Stretch? Well, that's thanks to Diriga here. Diriga is a sentinel that has an ability called Arc Coil. It deals electric damage and procs the electric status effect. And that is an ability that also is able to trigger Archon Stretch. So that gives us some energy regen. Taking a look at the build, we have Arc Coil, calculated shots so our weapon can shoot, Guardian to get our shields back when they break. Manifold Bond is to reduce the cooldown of our abilities when they are killed with 3 or more status effects. And we're easily doing that with our Booba Nico right there with corrosive, viral, cold, and radiation. That's 4. And plus, Arc Coil is electric, and it also has the weapon, which has its own status effect. So Manifold Bond is always on the fritz and reducing the duration. We have Sith Deconstruct. This is just to help more health orbs drop. And then finally, Mystic Bond, just for some additional free cast here and there. And for the weapon, it's the Hellstrom. I just swapped some mods around, but the thing you want is just to not have the same status effects, or you can even have the same status effects, up to you, depending how lazy you are. I just have some more gas here and radiation just so we get that nice consistent debuff if they're close or right behind me, just to help out with ancient healers. Otherwise, just go for a viral radiation and avoid heat, because heat will of course stagger enemies. You already have electricity, you don't want additional stagger, and that's not fun. Alright, boys and gals, this is the KABLOOMIES Sevagoth video. And funny enough, this is a Sevagoth video after years. Yes, the last time I did a video for him is when he was released. That long ago. Finally, we found something to do with Sevagoth, aka Gloom. Does this make him a superb frame or some frame you want to pick up? Yes, absolutely pick him up and shove him into the Helminth for Gloom. Otherwise, if you like playing him, then yeah, go for it. He is an okay frame. And here's something that will piss people off, but I think they should also do this. There's one way to buff Sevagoth, not by reworking him, shockingly enough, right? It's just to simply remove Gloom from the Helminth system and boom, you buffed Sevagoth. You made him relevant rather than shoving him into the Helminth. Hate me all you want. Anyway, folks, that has been it for me. I do hope you enjoyed this video and learned something from it. And if you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, a peace. Bye-bye now.